The masterclass is something that you give value away without expecting something in return. That's what I instantly think the masterclass is in my mind.
Welcome to the Impactors Podcast. I'm Cory Carter.
And I'm Ron Cool.
And we are the owners and founders of Hindsight HacKing Media, agency, podcasts, funnels, graphics, and more. Head on over to gethhm.com to learn more.
Guys, we created this podcast to help you go create an impact today. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. We're taking all the fluff, all the BS out so you can go create an impact.
And today's topic is
sales, masterclasses, and webinars.
Oh, yes. This is a fun subject because while we know we should be doing this every single week, whether it's some kind of masterclass or training or a real like live webinar, we know it's the right thing, but we're not there yet. We're not doing it yet, right? And so I wanted to bring it up because I know the benefit. I know how to write one. I know how to execute one, but you and I, Ron, we're not necessarily there yet with actually making it happen. And, and so I hope people understand that the importance of them. And, then my question to you, Ron, is how do we get doing it? How do we take that leap, right? How do we move forward with that?
I have a brilliant idea. I'll share when we're done for sure. So you'll have to.
Oh, you're not going to share it live on the recording?
I'm not going to share it live because it's a brilliant idea that I just came up with as you were talking before you even asked the question.
Okay.
However, I think the reason we haven't necessarily done it, taking away all the excuses on the planet that we've given ourselves why we don't do it, think imposter syndrome might be some of the problem. Even though we've helped hundreds of people do what we're going to pitch. It's not about not being confident in the end game. It's about being confident in actually doing the webinar weekly because we don't do them. So we don't have the practice. So we don't force ourselves to do it.
Right. Yeah. It reminds me of the first time we were trying to record the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Like you write a webinar and you do the training and you do the pitch and it's, 90 minutes long or 60 minutes or whatever. And yeah. And I remember feeling the same thing in regards to launching the podcast. Right. And we help people get over the fear. We help people move forward in that launch process. And yeah, I mean, it's exactly right. We're in the exact same spot as if we hadn't launched our podcast. We haven't launched our webinar.
Right, exactly. And so I have an idea to alleviate that. As soon as we're done with this, I will tell you.
Okay. So anybody out there, you can do a webinar. If you run a podcast, if you run any kind of thing, you can set up a webinar. But I have one other comment on masterclasses specifically and what kind of separates them from a webinar and, why I believe in them. And so for a masterclass, Ron, we had talked about it doing a weekly, 30-minute to an hour type class and training. And then,
sure.
We would figure out those things. Then we talked about, do we do it for free? Do we charge? And all that stuff. And I'd love for you to share your take on the masterclass side of things.
Yeah, I think the masterclass is something that you give value away without expecting something in return. That's what I instantly think the masterclass is in my mind. Okay, the webinar.
There's that version for sure. And then there's you pay to get
into something, and you have multiple masterclasses, right? Because now you have access to all these amazing experts that's going to be giving you private trainings that you can't get anywhere else. So there's two schools of thought, and neither one of them is wrong.
Right.
Neither one of them is wrong.
What is wrong is sitting on the sidelines and not executing either of them.
That is correct. And so I believe they both can be done at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, and why I think I lean towards wanting to do masterclasses over webinars is because in a webinar, you teach and then you pitch, right? You give value and then you pitch. Masterclasses, in my opinion, it's more of whether it's for free or not. or someone pays. It's more of just to teach, right? I'm more just teaching. And then it's more of a soft pitch afterwards, because it's like, oh, somebody loved that training, they need to get involved with you, right?
Right.
And I think that's why it's not
the masterclass is not salesy. The webinar is salesy.
Yeah. And so maybe that's why I've been hesitant to doing webinars, because you and I we want to sell without selling. Right. And so that's why maybe I'm more drawn to the masterclass, because that is give value. Those that appreciate it, those that need a solution, that know you, then they come to you naturally, like we do with pretty much all the rest of our sales.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't care if you make a free masterclass or you have another masterclass or you do a webinar. Be consistent in what you do. No fluff, no BS, just impact. Go make some.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to learn more, head on over to impactorsmastermind.com. We have a special group waiting just for you.
Guys, why are you still listening to this? Get off your phone, go create an impact today.